Peace and many blessings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Melvin A. Lyons, and I am here with the National Veterans Arts Museum. And welcome to Veterans Arts on Air. And I'd like to also introduce you, my wonderful co-host over here.
My name is Sarah Eilefson. I'm the Grants and Communications Coordinator for the National Veterans Art Museum.
All righty. And you are watching us live on CAN TV 21. You can also catch the show online at cantv.org/live. So during the next 25 minutes, we will be talking to you guys about random various things going on at the National Veterans Art Museum, along with a number of our upcoming events. And if you would like to talk with us, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. The phone lines are open. Now, to tell you guys a little bit about myself, my name again is Melvin A. Lyons. I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. I have also an artist. I've been doing the arts now for almost 30 years. And it seems like a bit of a stretch, but 30 years now as an artist, starting out doing theater mostly. From there, went into venturing into music as well as visual arts. And one of my most recent projects was actually featured at the National Veterans Art Museum, The Evolution of War, which was 2011.
Yeah.
Man, time is flying.
And that was a big installation piece, a big mural that you had done.
Yeah, that was actually probably the biggest mural that I've done in a while that was actually sanctioned, that I could do legally. So that was a lot of fun. Of
well,
course,
we were glad to have it.
Bombing and tagging and things of that nature. So it's been a while for me to actually go into a spot and say, okay, here's a wall, make it work.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to worry about looking over my shoulder or going late at night anyway to actually get it done. So I want you to do me a favor. Tell us a little bit about the Veterans Arts Museum in itself. Like, first of all, where were you located?
Some of you might know us from our old location in the Chicago South Loop. We recently relocated to the Portage Park neighborhood. Our new address is 4041 North Milwaukee Avenue, just north of the Six Corners intersection of Milwaukee, Irving Park, and Cicero.
Okay. So how long have you guys been up there now?
We just opened this last Veterans Day.
Last Veterans Day, wow. So tell me about the start of the museum. Like, where did the museum originate? Like, where did all the ideas for this come from?
We actually have a long history. We're about 30 years old, and we started in 1981 when a group of Vietnam veterans came together. Artists, veterans looking to express themselves and their experiences. They put together a first show called Reflexes and Reflections.
Okay.
It was a traveling exhibition, toured up and down the eastern seaboard, went to the house, and it kind of grew from there.
Okay. So now, have we always been based here out of Chicago?
We have. A number of the founding artists are all Chicago locals, and some of those original members are still with the museum to this day. So Chicago is our home and our roots.
Okay. So one of the things about veterans arts that I've found to be rather interesting is that a lot of people say that art should be somewhat therapeutic. It should be something that can help us to heal. Have any of your artists expressed an interest in doing art for this reason?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't encompass all the art in our collection.
Okay.
Certainly not every veteran artist thinks of their art as therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly in the beginning and continuing until this day, we see a number of therapeutic art exhibitions. Reflexes and Reflections, certainly. Trauma and Metamorphosis, which was a show that then had a sequel. It was that working through process, turning trauma into something different, metamorphosizing.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you about you particularly. What got you interested in the Veterans Arts Museum initially?
My grandfather is a non-combat veteran and a storyteller. And so I grew up on the stories of veterans and the experience of veterans. And I'm an English major. I'm a graduate student of English.
Okay.
And so questions of representation, especially of a veteran experience, has been one of my strongest passions. So I thought, okay, I'm reading all of these books about it. Now let's look at some visual or musical or other representations of the veteran experience.
Okay. I don't know about you, but like me personally, shortly after getting out of the service and dealing with veterans' experiences, when it came to that particular issue, my experience was always, it sucked, I'm done, I don't want to play anymore. That's where it came from. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to talk about it anymore. In fact, shortly after my stint in Iraq, because naturally when veterans come home, those who have never been through it are often asking those questions, well, What was it like? Did you do this? Did you do that? And I don't know about most people, but for me, as a person, first and foremost, it's like I just went through a horrific experience. And now I got to sit back and retell this experience over and over and over again to where finally it became an issue that was like, you know what? Don't ask. I ain't telling you. We're not talking about it until I'm ready.
Yeah.
And it went on like this for a while. I remember I got to Iraq in 2003, and I got there about a day and a half before the war officially kicks off. And we're there, and we're going through all of this stuff, and we're doing what we need to do. And I remember saying to myself, like, I want to be able to go over there and come back home and say, I never fired my weapon once. I mean, if I didn't fire at anybody, then nobody fired me. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy,
Right.
obviously. You know, it's war, so go figure. Tough luck. But I get back home, and everything is different. Everything has changed. But the questions are constantly arising. And so one of the things that I did as an artist was like, all right, I want to find a way to do both. I'm going to tell my story using my art, and then I'm never going to tell the story again. And that's actually where the Veterans Arts Museum and myself came kind of into contact. My very first show that I wrote, it was a one-man show called Boot. And I did this show in my hometown back in Flint, Michigan. We're doing this show, and I remember going through the first half of the show, about the first hour, just talking about my experiences and going through the reenacting of all of these things that I went through. And the last 20 to 30 minutes of the show, I sat back and we gave everybody a chance to come in and say, all right, this is what I want to know. And I told them then, like, you ask all of the questions you want to know now, because after this show ends, and it was a one night only, once this show is over, I am never telling these stories again until I get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this show was 2003. This was 2003. I actually gotten sent home sooner than my year was up.
Okay, so this was immediately following your homecoming.
Shortly after. I got home in October of '03. By November, I believe I was doing this show.
Wow.
And I did not speak again publicly about my experiences until I was asked to speak at the National Veterans Arts Museum in 2010. Shortly after I'd done a speech at the Veterans Memorial for Veterans Day. So that was the first time I'd actually opened up after that. So you figure 7 years had gone by.
And what kind of a talk did you give at the museum?
Ooh, well, actually,
Or who was
that
the
whole
audience,
day.
I guess.
It started out at the memorial, and the audience there were, just a lot of civilians and a lot of Vietnam veterans, people coming back to show their respects and things like that. And I remember going through. I met some people from the Iraqi Vets Against the War a couple of days prior to this at a party where I was performing some of my music, and they asked me if I would come out and I would speak to these people, and I'm like, sure, I'm up in arms, I'm ready to go. And as time gets closer and closer, I'm like, what am I going to talk to these people about? These people are going through what I've gone through. What am I going to say to these people? And I remember the night before having absolutely no clue what I'm going to say to these folks. And I'm just like, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to choke and it's going to be horrible.
No.
And I remember the night before, I remember reading something about the number of homeless veterans here in Chicago alone.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like, I was so outraged that I didn't write anything. I just started going through my head, like, all of these thoughts, like what I wanted to say. The next thing you know, I'm there that morning, and we're talking about what it is that we're fighting for. Why do we do all of this if we come home and then a great number of our people are homeless? And I remember being so upset about that, and transferred over, went to the museum later on that day, and continued on this same rant, I guess you could call it. And I said my piece, and I finally felt like I had exuded all of my energy. I was done. And a couple of days later, it's like, so, I hear you're an artist. You want to paint something? I was like, okay.
That sounds about right. That sounds like our...
It's very spastic, very all over the place, but came in and, of course, the Evolution Award became
and I'm
the name
familiar
of the
with
piece.
Evolution of War, but maybe you want to describe it.
Well, it was a wall. It was 4 individual panels, actually, I've put together to bring in one piece. And what I did with this was, like, I wanted to be able to show people the process that a lot of our folks go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember one of the things that I did was going back to my days and remembering being in high school as a sophomore and as a junior and seeing these Marines come in their uniforms, and they're going through and they're trying to get all of these kids from these poor urbanized areas to join the military. And I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to join. I'm never going to do this, that, and the third. And, you know, eventually it went and it became more than that, and I wound up doing it. But I wanted to show how you can go from that point, from being recruited and graduating high school and being, you know, the world is all around me. I can do
one
whatever.
Of your images was a graduation.
What I want to do. Yeah. So the very first image is this kid graduating from high school, and it's like everything's going. Yeah. And then right after that, it's like, okay, you run into that drill instructor. You go and you meet these recruiters. You meet all of these military people. And so now I am in boot camp. I'm going through my military life. And, you know, you hear the stories, too, about, you know, recruiters and people in boot camp telling you, oh, you're never going to go to war, or you're being sent over here, it's never going to be this, it's never going to be that. Next thing you know, we're off to the next piece, which is we're at war. Mm-hmm. We're going to war. All of these kids, some of these kids, you know, 18, 19 years old, have never experienced life, are now being tasked to take life, to go and fight for life and things of this nature. So you go from there to the next piece, which is very unfortunate for a lot of us, which is the unfortunate death or the untimely death of some of our veterans. Mm-hmm. And so that was the evolution of war in my eyes, at least from the eyes of the people where I grew up at. So the people that I was used to talking to and the kids that I still talk to this day. So I go out at least 4 or 5 times a year and speak at JROTC programs or college career days and things like that for the youth, being a youth guidance instructor and being a youth activist. This is one of the things that I wanted to do. So I wanted to take a photo that most of our military people had been through and then show it to someone who's never been there, who's never seen it, and just give them a quick snapshot of what it is that we did. And that was the evolution of war. That was it for me. It was mixed medium, acrylics and spray paint. Mm-hmm. Again, you know, getting the spray paint stuff in the building is great. Hadn't done that in a while. So that's kind of where it all came from. And then, again, the music, the painting, all of that stuff, for me, is therapeutic because, for me, it is a manifestation of my soul. This is the things that are going through my mind and through the thoughts and things that I have and have to live with on a day-to-day. Because, as I always tell people, you know, a mind can be a very dangerous place if you're not prepared for what's inside of it. So that's kind of what I do. The music, the art, the theater, all of that stuff kind of embodies what I've gone through these years. So. And
you tend to direct a lot of your performance pieces and a lot of your art toward a youth audience.
Yes. Well, that's always been one of my things. Like, again, coming from a place like Flint, Michigan, which is one of the most dangerous cities in America, still to this day. Mm-hmm. And coming from the areas that I came from, the school that I came from, my thing had always been, you know, being a hip-hopper and doing music that I do, the rap music and things of this nature. So hip-hop, for me, had always been about speaking to the youth. And then somewhere along the line, it began, you know, I'm going to speak to these people. I'm going to start speaking to the audiences that are out there. So what can I say to these people who are yet to experience the things that I've experienced in a way that they're going to take it and listen and not look at me as just some old guy who's trying to tell them not to live their life. So, yeah, I do push a lot of my music and a lot of what I say towards younger audiences, mostly high school, middle school kids, because as I often say, the truth is not always easy to swallow. Sometimes it's harsh. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the language, sometimes the way that it's presented, sometimes the visuals are not always pretty. Sometimes they're harsh. And some of these youngsters are at a point to where they can tolerate it, so they can swallow it. So give it to you quick and fast and early so that we can get through what needs to be gotten through in order to get you the message that you need to get. Mm-hmm. Right?
And this message that is so hard, we often have parents call the museum and ask if it's a good place to bring their children. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the art is uncensored in a sense. Right. And it's really difficult subjects oftentimes that are getting dealt with.
Absolutely. I don't believe in censoring art. Art is a manifestation, again, of one's soul, of mm-hmm. you and who you are. So to censor your voice when you're speaking to people who've never met you, who may never meet you, and these arts may be around for thousands of years to come, why censor it? Because these people are eventually going to want to know. So that's kind of where we go with it.
Yeah.
Right? So now, before we get too caught up in this, because I could go on with this for hours. Tell me about some of the upcoming events that we have at the museum. I believe we have an opening coming up this Saturday, right?
So just 2 days. We're
2
really
days from
looking
now.
forward to it.
So tell me about this piece. What are we doing?
It's called Not About Bombs.
All right.
It opens Saturday, March 9 with a free reception from 1 to 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a keynote speaker at 3 p.m. and a panel discussion, which I think will be really phenomenal, at 4 p.m. The exhibit is on display in honor of International Women's Day and National Women's History Month, and it addresses how a female perspective can fit into the modern context of conflict through art and avoid falling into typical ways that women are represented and misrepresented. It features the art of 5 female Iraqi artists, and the curator will be on hand as part of the panel discussion. So Saturday, March 9 from 1 to 5 p.m. I should say that the museum is always free and open to the public. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can always find more information about our hours, how to get there, on our website, www.NVAM, nationalveteransartmuseum.org. So even as we're very excited for this new exhibition, it's not the only upcoming event that we have to celebrate this month.
So what else are we doing this month? I know we have something else coming up on the 20th, I believe it is.
That is April 20th.
April 20th. Okay. So tell me about that one. Give them a little bit of time to prepare. All right.
We're excited to bring in, I'm going to make that a visual maybe, so they can see the cover of the book, a book reading of Boocoo Dinky Dow. One of our artists in the permanent collection, Grady Myers, has donated some new pieces never before shown at the Museum of Art. And Julie Titone, who co-wrote his memoir with him, Boocoo Dinky Dow, My Short Crazy Vietnam War, will be offering a free book reading. We'll be bringing some other veteran artists in to the museum to help her present. And that's happening April 20th at 2 p.m.
All righty. We also were talking about art being therapeutic. I believe coming up March 16th, we have therapeutic arts workshops going on at the museum as well.
Yes,
right?
This is so exciting. This is a launch of a brand new initiative for us, supported by the Illinois Department of Veteran Affairs. So the first one is Saturday, March 16 from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. All of these workshops are open to active duty military veterans and their families. And our goal is to embody the aspect of the museum's mission to inspire understanding of the impact of war, both on the individual and also the community. So in these therapeutic art workshops, we're hoping to create opportunities to explore and understand artistic expression in pursuit of healing for those with some connection to the military.
Alrighty. Well, it sounds like the museum is going to be pretty busy coming up here as of late, which is always good.
Yes,
we
like that.
Open. It's free. So I don't know about you all, but sometimes when you tell people that we're going to go and learn and we're going to go look at arts and things like that, first thing that comes to their mind is, how much does it cost? And you tell them what the cost is, and it's like, I'm not going to come. I don't want to do it. And you tell them it's free, and it's like, oh, great, I'm coming. We'll be there.
Yep.
And let's go learn some stuff, because education when it's free is a wonderful thing.
Right.
Right? I know, especially those wonderful college students of ours. And they're paying all of this money, might as well do something for free for them, right? Alrighty, so once again, it's been a long little journey for the museum.
Yep.
So we just got the move recently. One of the pieces that was at the museum, which is probably one of my favorite, probably the most moving piece for me, was the dog tags that were hanging from the ceiling at the old building.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about, tell us a little bit about that particular piece?
It's entitled Above and Beyond, and it's something, kind of a crossover, something between a memorial and a piece of art, an art installation. It's the only other permanent installation that honors all 58,200 plus men and women who were killed in Vietnam. And essentially it's dog tags punched with the individuals' names hanging from filament wire, and it's an enormous piece. It is still at our old location, so it's not available to be seen at this time. But we look forward to offering good news as to where it might be seen in the future. So stay tuned for that.
Alrighty. Yeah, as I say, we one of the first times I walked into the old building and I looked up and I saw it's like, ooh, shiny metal. I had no idea what it was, and I'll go up a couple of floors and actually got a closer look at it and to find out what it is and the number of dog tags that are hanging there representing the life of each member or that lost their life during this war. It's very an emotional time for us.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that where, like, whenever you get a chance to see it, it is a very inspirational piece.
Yeah.
All right? And it just puts a lot of it into perspective. So before we get to running out of time, one of the things that I like to do is to show a music video. This music video is from a local Chicago artist by the name of Kahari Lemuel. The song is called Love Has Spoken. It is a very inspirational piece. It's a piece that I actually used to wake up to every morning. It's the first thing that came on when my alarm went off every morning. And I got a chance to be called in as an actor to participate in the filming of this video. So it's one of those things that I would love the chance to get to show you all. So we will try to do that here within the next few moments. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues over here just a moment ago, so we're going to try this again. But until then, just a quick reminder, coming up this Saturday, we have the opening of our brand new exhibit there at the Veterans Art Museum, which is, again, located where?
At 4041 North Milwaukee Avenue. We're accessible off the Blue Lines or the Cicero bus or the Irving Park bus. Perhaps parking not your best bet on the day of an opening reception, though there is some street parking available.
Alrighty. So, again, Not About Bombs, opening up this Saturday, March 9th. Open reception from 1 to 5 p.m. this Saturday. Alright. So, here's a quick piece from that actual exhibit. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is we're looking at here?
These are actually pieces from each of the 5 artists in the show. A little taste of what you might expect to see.
Okay, good to go. So, again, sorry for the issues we had here. Had a little technical difficulties running this piece, but hey, that's all right, because when all else fails, you get to hang out with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So,
one more thing that I would maybe draw our audience's attention to is that we recently undertook an initiative to digitize every piece of art in the collection and make it available for free on our website. We call it the collection online. Forgive me, I forgot what the N stood for. The NCO.
Right.
So you can find that on our homepage.
Yes, and I understand that is an award-winning online
It is. The Illinois
exhibit.
Association of Museums awarded us a superior award for our efforts on that.
Absolutely. So now that is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. I would love to hear and to see things like that. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to see the art whenever you can, even if you can't get out to the museum, it'd be accessible, things like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I have been Mel L, Melvin A. Lyons, the microphone misfit, National Veterans Arts Museum. All right, and you,
Sarah Eilefson, Grants and Communications Coordinator. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Absolutely, and you will be able to catch us again next month, same time, first Thursday of the month. We will be right back here. We'll have a couple of guests. We'll have some more arts, a few more upcoming events for you guys.
Absolutely.
So please stay tuned. And once again, if you would like to get more information, you can always visit the website so that we can get that information to you. Here you go. Once again, peace and many blessings.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next month.